All right, what I'd like to do here is try and go through this slide presentation as quickly as I can without missing the points. And hopefully you can go back through it later. And so I'll start with my name, Joe Yobaccio. I'm doing a capital raise for my acquisition services. And there's my contact information. I've identified my audience as investment advisors, family offices, acquisition teams, CPAs, real estate advisors, high net worth advisors, and private real estate investing groups. Where I've identified that they have pain and problems is they're using internships or they're spending their time away from some of their acquisition services. So you've either got untrained staff, you've got high turnover in part-time positions. They've got hours of wasted time that they're spending on thousands and hundreds of emails that are very confusing. There's a confusing amount of attachments. There's separate emails. It's very hard to separate information on any one deal and nearly impossible to make a confident decision. I've come up with a number of solutions, some which are unique and I'm the only one doing it. And number one, they can outsource me and my staff. Here's what I can do. I can find deals, I can analyze deals, and I can negotiate with sellers. I'm a licensed real estate agent in California, so I absolutely am allowed to negotiate. And now I've taken the place of I don't know how many internships, and I've helped the acquisition rep do their job. And some companies don't have an acquisition rep. They don't have a dedicated person to do this. So now I've become their acquisition rep. Now I also offer, and I'll go through this later, I offer a much easier way, a consolidated way to look at all of these hundreds of emails and just pick out the ones that are right for them and do it in either a one view client sheet, like a spreadsheet with all the key metrics, multiple properties, and links to the attachments, or a client portal with just what they need to see. And that would save hundreds and hundreds of hours, I believe, every year of valuable time. There's a lot of different tools that I like to use, including I have a member only database and it's got $13,000 members on it, including sponsors, capital companies, acquisition teams, and operators. I also use analysis tools such as CRMs and property trackers. So I'm looking at property that has exact hold dates. I know exactly who wants that. And I use my tools to help me find out what properties meet the exact criteria for specific buyers. So I don't just use tools just to use tools. I am using AI and I'm using that to scrape data to help me screen and analyze deals. I'm using it for contact management. I'm using it for email automation, and I'm using it for some administrative back-end tools. Many different examples of what I might have this look like on a one view. So I'm going to offer acquisition reps a way to look at their key metrics in one spot. That might be a spreadsheet like this. It might be a client portal. And you can see here just a few key metrics, which is the same thing that they all care about. How many units? Where's it located? What kind of pricing is expected? What's the price per door? What's the net operating income? Cap rate, they may or may not care right off the bat. Address, year built, and a link to other information. So if you could look at a sheet that gives you just one view, wouldn't that be helpful instead of looking at hundreds of emails? Maybe thousands. I've seen a couple, two, three computer screens at the same time, and it just looks awful. Now I've got a lot of sources where I'm looking for property. And again, this is going to be something where my value is going to be finding the off-market properties. So I've got the database I already referenced. I'm also talking to default commercial loan servicers, property managers, asset managers, looking at tax delinquent list, portfolio managers, receivers, ARIA loan services, developers. I'm a little redundant here with that member-only database, aren't I? Family offices and a LinkedIn database where I've got 1,000 personal contacts that are specific contacts in my industry, which are some of the same bullet points that you see. So I'm not talking about a generic database where I don't know who they are. Everybody wants to know what kind of proof of concept there is, and I certainly have some things to show. I won't show them in the slideshow here, but I have 3 letters of intent, and I have $112 million worth of offers sitting in my file right now. And they do have my brokerage, Rise Realty, and my name on those as the buyer side rep. And I also have put in 35 to 50 private equity investment companies, and combined, they have over 10 billion in assets that they already own. Cumulatively, I have buyers that are looking to spend 500 million to 1 billion. I've sourced at least 30 off-market assets just since March alone, and some of that's in the following slides. I don't think I want to read each one by one, but the most recent one we're working on is a 298 unit multifamily building in Dallas. Hopefully, you can rewind and look at some of this, pause, etc. What kind of revenue are we expecting? Well, most of the times we're going to get 1% on assets that are $20 to $30 million minimum. And even if we did 10 deals a year, which would be horribly low, and for the sources that we have, it's not going to be that low. We easily expect to be doing $2 to $3 million per year. In order to do this, yes, I am asking for pre-seed capital. And even though I've been in the business for 20 years, this would still be considered a new company because of what we're doing, where we're specifically tracking assets and specifically coming in as an acquisition outsource team. This essentially is a new business, but it's really not new. I've been doing aspects of this for 20 years. I've been putting my client databases together now for a couple of years. So I'm looking at $138,000 combination capital, cash, and or assets that I own, not to convolute this, because I need staff, I need software packages, I need subscriptions. Now I can offer a $78,000 performing note as part of that, and do part cash. We can structure this any number of ways. I really need a couple of part-time temps. We need a little bit of an operating budget for at least 6 months, somewhere in the $50,000 to $60,000 range. There's a lot about me. I don't know where you'd want to start, but you'd probably want to know that I am licensed in California. I have 20 years of real estate experience in residential and commercial. I have a bachelor's in communication. I find communicating with top CEOs and acquisitions people, it's key that I have communication skills. I think that's one of the things that sets me apart. In the last 10 years, I've focused on multifamily and industrial investment assets and dedicated thousands of hours of study to AI, commercial real estate analysis, marketing systems, branding, real estate law, just to name a few, CRMs, project management. There's so much. And usually we'll put in 15-hour days plus hours on the weekend. This is not a little side concept. That's kind of what I was just saying about the all of the hours that, and after working hours. During the day, we're looking at maybe 12-hour days. On the weekends, at least 5 hours each of the 2 days. Developing our clientele, developing our systems, our back-end systems, studying technology and software, and finding out what else needs to set us apart. Always evolving, always learning. I previously have been in business-to-business sales prior to real estate, and I take great pride in developing my personal relationships as one of the most important things in my business. And I do have a belief that I have a constant passion about what I do and what is going to lead me to the answers on how to be different, so that anyone using me or having me help them will see why I set myself apart from anyone just doing transactional sales. I talk a lot about myself, but I do have a team. I have my broker, Travis. I've known him 20 years. We have Josh, who will do transaction work and marketing work for us. Uh, we're going to have several admin, and that'll be, I want you to picture Starbucks. I want you to picture people who are cross trained in what we do, and they can come in different shifts, and they will be specialized in some of the aspects of what we're doing, including admin, marketing, sourcing deals for deal flow. We also, every time I talk to my acquisitions reps, every time I talk to disposition reps and capital providers, I'm always uh, asking them for consultation so that we can get better. And we're already told how different we are as a company. We are looking at an expected revenue of minimum $480,000 just off the bare minimum numbers. If you look at that, we're probably going to be doing $2 to $3 million a year, but I want you to see where we're extrapolating those numbers. Yes, this is pre-seed, so even though I have been involved in many transactional real estate transactions, I'm separating this business out as its own startup. And so for that, we're not going to be showing existing revenue. We can show the contracts that we have in place. And even if we lower our fee as part of an acquisition service, we're still going to be doing at minimum $480,000 per year. And because we're low overhead, we're talking about some staffing and some subscriptions. I believe we're going to run at a 60% profit. And I can break that down for you. Each year, questions will be probably separate from what I have here. No, we are not an AI business. We use AR. We use AI to improve all of our systems. I don't believe there is competition in what I'm doing. Here's where the competition is. You've got interns and you've got a lot of brokers sending emails. If you want to call that competition, sure. Deal flow alone, deal flow, there's competition in where people get deal flow. Getting information in a consolidated, concise way that's helpful to the acquisitions manager, in a way that's tracking assets, specific assets. I do have a story on that. I don't find anybody doing that, and I'm talking to acquisition managers every day. I just spoke to a disposition manager last week, 2 weeks ago, and they have 7 multifamily buildings, 100 units or more. And around March of 2026 is when they're looking at those to start to sell, and they will sell them off market. I sourced that, and they're not going to be on market necessarily unless they decide to go that route. But there's an example where I know exactly who the buyers are going to be, even now, even this year. I already know exactly who would buy those, each one in each market. And I'm going to track those as well as the dates they come up for sale. And that's why I say nobody else is doing that, because I have set up systems to do that. Let's see if we have any more questions here. You'll probably have your own. All right, so we'll end on this, and that's what I was just saying. Let me give you a quote. There's a Bill Graham, who was a concert promoter, said this many years ago about one of the top grossing touring bands of all time, the Grateful Dead. He says, they aren't the best at what they do. They're the only ones that do what they do. So again, I want to say that no one else is tracking specific property and tracking the holding periods. I've looked at project management software. I've looked at the top project management and CRM systems out there. They're not even set up to do that. And the one or two that I found that can do that, they have these weird limitations on them. So now I've gone and found Monday.com, and I'm doing some customization work that will allow me to track assets, because that's the key to this entire business, is knowing what's going to be sold, knowing where it's at, and does it fit the contacts that I have on the CRM that are the actual buyers, and who buys where and how much do they have. That tracking and that absolute matching, that's what I'm saying nobody else is doing. And that's where I want to leave the end of this presentation for you to continue with your own comments. And I did not plan this, but we're going to end here at about 15 minutes exactly. And please go back to page 1 with my contact information and any other questions you want to ask me. Thank you very much.